It can be really upsetting if your dog is going blind, but there are a few key steps that you can take as their owner to make sure that they can still have a full and happy life. Hi, I'm Dr. Alex from ourpetshealth.com, helping you and your pet live a healthier, happier life. And there are 4 main reasons that you need to think about for why your dog is going blind in the first place, because understanding those might be able to help them in the future. So the first one is cataracts. Now that can form because of age, but also because of diabetes. So if your dog's eyes are getting kind of a bit cloudy and a bit blue, then it may be worth getting their blood sugar levels checked. Glaucoma is another reason, and that's where the pressure within the eye actually builds up and causes damage to those sight structures. Progressive retinal atrophy is another problem, which is where the retina, which is the back of the eye, stops working quite as well as it could do, and eventually blindness will develop. And then sudden acquired retinal degeneration syndrome is another condition that affects the back of the eye that is not all that common, but is certainly needs to be on this list. Now, thankfully, dogs can generally cope very well with loss of sight and becoming blind, especially if they're becoming blind slowly over time. They have a chance to adapt to that situation and to get used to not being able to rely on their sight as well as they once could. Now, some dogs will struggle, especially if it comes on very quickly, but they are definitely in the minority. A dog who's going blind will start to rely heavily on their other senses. So the first one is hearing, and dogs' hearing is about 4 times more sensitive than humans, and they can also hear different frequencies and different pitches. So those really high frequencies that we can't hear, dogs can pick up on, so they can actually get a lot of cues through their ears. A dog's sense of smell will also really help them out. You might not know this, but dogs can actually smell in 3D because they can pick up different smells in each nostril, which can really help them to navigate their surroundings. They can also smell about 100,000 times more sensitively than humans, which means that they could pick up the equivalent of a teaspoon of salt in an Olympic-sized swimming pool with their nose alone. And this all means that despite not being able to see, your blind dog will have a pretty good idea of what's going on around them, of where they are in the house and what the environment is like in their immediate surroundings. But there are a number of additional steps that you can take to help them cope even better. If you have a house with stairs, then actually using stair gates to keep them safe can make a real difference, so they're not wandering upstairs and then having difficulty getting downstairs or getting trapped, or if they live upstairs, actually stopping them falling downstairs and taking a tumble because they get a bit confused or they misstep. Trying to make sure that there's good lighting in your dog's environment as well is important, so that if they're not completely blind, they can still pick up good contrast between objects, which will help them to navigate that little bit better. They're not going to be able to see completely, but they're going to be able to see shapes and shadow much better if the lighting is kept good. Keeping your dog's environment consistent is also important. So that means not moving furniture, keeping their food bowls and their water bowls in the same place so they can get used to navigating with their other senses and they know what to expect. Patience goes a long way as well. Your blind dog is going to be a little bit slower, they may be a little bit apprehensive, they may be a bit anxious at times in situations where they weren't before. Be patient, be understanding, and they'll still be a valuable part of your family. And for those dogs who are bumping into things still, despite all those other measures, you can actually get something called a halo harness. This is a plastic loop that goes around their head and it helps to give them an early warning they're about to bump into something. I'll leave a link down in the description below for those. Now, if you want to learn other tips and strategies about keeping your older dog as happy and healthy as possible, make sure you check out the video linked on screen now. And until next time, I'm Dr. Alex. This is Our Pets Health, because they're family.